With Rise of Skywalker nearing by the day, and with the theories and speculations rising alongside it, I've seen pretty much all of them up until now. The ones on Reddit, YouTube, even in the comment sections on Instagram, where no one would even really look. One of the comments that I see recurring very often, besides how Palpatine is returning, which I've made tons of theories and fact videos from Legends on, is that many fans are upset with Palpatine's return because of this. They feel it undermines Anakin's arc and sacrifice. So, let's discuss that finally. Now, I'm going to go into detail because I know some of you really enjoy that, and for those of you who want the quick answer, I'll just briefly say this right now for you. Does it undermine Anakin's arc? My answer, yes and no. Yes, because Anakin died to kill someone who isn't dead. It'll change how we look at Return of the Jedi forever. And no, because if they bring Palpatine back, they have to bring Anakin back. Now, there's the caveat. If they don't bring him back, then yeah, that's a bummer, and things would be kind of ruined for good whenever we see that scene in Return of the Jedi. To an extent. I mean, Anakin set out to save his son, and he did, but we're gonna get more into depth as we go on in this video. In my opinion, without having seen the film, if the Emperor returns, then so must his counter, Anakin. I mean, Anakin turned to the dark side for his own reasons, to save Padme, but a big chunk of it, as well as for his distrust within the Jedi Order, was for his own personal gain. He wanted to be the most powerful, and he always wanted that. I understand how Anakin felt, and I've been wanting to make a video that will analyze his mindset for why he disliked them. But for today, we need to understand whether or not Palpatine's survival demeans everything to do with Anakin and Vader. I don't think it does. Look, what did Anakin die for? To save his son in that moment? And did he save his son? Yes. If he had allowed Luke to die, then Palpatine would have continued to rule the galaxy and wouldn't have gone into hiding in the unknown regions, or wherever he went in Episode 9. As for Anakin's story, well, Anakin wanted to turn. His entire life, he was the bad guy on the inside, but he was playing the good guy. He was trying to subdue all of his temptations to the dark. I remember in a really old canon comic or book, I forget what it was, the first time that Anakin actually killed someone in front of Obi-Wan was when he was a little boy, and he actually set them on fire. And it was at that moment that Obi-Wan knew that he had made a big mistake to train the boy because he is full of darkness. Now, in the sequel trilogy, Kylo is the good guy playing bad, so we have that reversal. We see it, we've talked about it, and even Mark Hamill has hinted at it. Anakin broke through Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi as a last act to save his son from the Emperor. Luke threw his lightsaber away to show Sidious that he will never turn to the dark side, that his death will be the Emperor's failure. It was such a moving and poetic piece in the entire saga and in film history, and it's something that might be changed forever. After all the evil Vader did during Order 66 and the rest of his life, he decided to end it all, and Anakin finally returned to die for his son. George pulled on heartstrings pretty hard since day one. So, Vader killed the Emperor, Luke was saved, the galaxy was restored to peace, and they all live happily ever after in the films. Bringing Sidious back makes Anakin's sacrifice all for nothing if Anakin won't return to finish the job properly. I can see how this would entice that kind of remark. Now, the key point to this is fans are saying bringing Palpatine back. That's the key word, bringing him. Well, he never really died, so we kind of have to accept that. This isn't some cheap trick JJ is pulling or Lucasfilm is pulling to get ticket sales, despite what everyone might believe. George Lucas himself always wanted to bring the Emperor back in Episode 9. Far before he sold everything to Disney. He wanted to have the Emperor return, and he was playing around with the idea in Legends comics countless times, and he wanted to do it when he set out to write the sequel trilogy for the big screen. We can find this in countless old interviews that he's done. It was his influence on JJ before all of this was written to bring Palpatine back in some way. Now, to answer the question whether or not it puts Anakin's arc to the dumpster, yeah, it sorta does, and I'm with you there. But not if he comes back too. Now, if the new heroes of the sequel trilogy end up killing Palpatine for good and not Anakin, or at least with his collective help, and I'm just saying, at least, then I would be pretty upset and pretty hurt. Anakin and Luke are my heroes. They were it for me. They were my guys. Whenever a problem showed up at my door, I'd think, how would either of them deal with this situation? There's super different opinions on either side, of course, but hey, I was just a kid. If Hayden doesn't come back in this film, I think I and a lot of fans would unanimously feel robbed that Return of the Jedi would be looked at never again the same way. We'd all look at that scene and say, well, okay, Anakin just broke through Vader, sacrificed himself to kill Sidious, and then died for nothing because Sidious is back and Anakin never returned. So, the only way this would be a big slap in the face to Anakin's sacrifice is if we don't see Hayden in the Rise of Skywalker. But I have a good feeling that we will. We saw him as a Force ghost in Return of the Jedi, and at the end of this video I'm going to reveal something that you've probably heard me say before, but just for those who haven't. Now, this is something I haven't mentioned on the channel or told anyone. Far before The Last Jedi came out, someone emailed me and said that they worked on the film, and that at the end of it, we're going to hear Hayden's voice. Lo and behold, we didn't hear his voice, and I was kind of bummed. But then, in the book, we do hear a voice, or we actually read a voice. A voice at the end of the film speaks to Luke as Luke is dying. He says, "Let go." So, I mean, putting two and two together, it just kind of makes me wonder, was that really Anakin? Did they really intend for that? Did they cut that out because they want to save his return to the sequel trilogy with Episode 9? Because it would be a pretty big surprise. So, in conclusion, I don't think Anakin's arc was for nothing if Palpatine returns, because he set out to save his son, and he did that. But I do think the right thing to do would be to cast Hayden back as Anakin to finish the job, or help the new heroes finish the job properly. As always, thank you for watching this video and taking the time out every day to chill with me and all the rest of us down here in the comment section. Leave a comment down below on what you think the final movie in the Skywalker saga will be about regarding Palpatine's return, and if you think Hayden's gonna come back, and if you think Palpatine's return undermines his entire arc. Thanks for hanging. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.
Now, fulfill your destiny.